Today, we're diving into a really profound spiritual text that basically lays out a map for the soul's journey. We're talking everything from the very roots of sin all the way to the ultimate choice between two completely different eternal destinies. It's a journey that, according to this text, we're all on. And at the very heart of this ancient dialogue is one of the biggest questions we can ask ourselves, right? What is our ultimate journey? I mean, where are we all headed? And what is it that actually determines our final destination? The text we're looking at today offers a pretty stark and powerful answer. Now, this isn't some dry, dusty old book. It's actually framed as this intimate conversation between God and a soul, who's called dearest daughter. And that framing right there sets the tone for everything else. This is meant to feel like a direct, personal message about the true nature of reality. So where does a journey like this even begin? Well, our text says it all starts with understanding where wrongdoing comes from, and it illustrates this with a really powerful metaphor, a tree of death. You know, what's so fascinating is how this text defines sin. It's not really about just being malicious or, breaking a list of rules. Nope. The source is way more subtle. It's a deep, all-consuming love of the self, or Selbstliebe, as it's called in the original text, that puts your own self at the very center of the universe. And this is the image at the heart of it all, the tree of death. It's such a potent metaphor. The text explains that this tree grows from the soil of pride and is watered by that exact same self-love we just talked about. And once a soul starts to feed from this tree, it sets off this devastating chain reaction. So what's going on this tree? The text calls them deadly fruits. And things like pride and greed and injustice, they aren't just seen as random bad actions. They are the direct, totally inevitable results of a life that's built around the self. They're basically the poison that the soul willingly eats. And here's the real kicker. The end result of eating these fruits isn't just a tally of bad deeds. It's a whole state of being. The soul literally becomes spiritually blind. It loses what the text calls the light of reason. And it gets trapped in a darkness that it made for itself, unable to tell what's true from what's false. Okay, so things sound pretty bleak, right? If the soul's lost and blind, is there any hope? Well, the text makes a huge pivot right here. It shifts from the problem of sin to this powerful symbol of salvation, the bridge of mercy. The text poses this question using another great metaphor. The world is like a raging, dangerous river that's always threatening to just sweep the soul away. So how in the world could anyone possibly get to the other side? And the answer it gives is the bridge. This bridge is God's Son, who creates a single, solid path over those treacherous waters. And it's not a path we build ourselves. It's a divine structure, something given out of mercy, that connects our earthly world to the heavenly one. So, how does a soul actually use this bridge? Well, the process is laid out in a few stages. First, you have to recognize your own blindness, your own danger. Second, you have to make a conscious choice to step onto and cross that bridge. And finally, by doing that, you leave the darkness behind and step into the light of grace and truth. And this is where it all leads, the climax of the entire journey. The path eventually comes to an end, and according to this text, the soul faces a final judgment that leads to one of two very different and eternal outcomes. And the contrast here it's just night and day. On one side, you have the state of the damned. Their will gets permanently locked into hate. They're tormented by this internal fire, living in total darkness. And on the other side, you have the saved. Their will is perfected in love. They're filled with this incredible joy, and they live in the full, brilliant light of the divine. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. Your inner state actually changes how you perceive reality itself. To the damned, God looks like a terrifying judge, basically a reflection of their own hate. But to the saved, that same God is a merciful, loving Father, the source of all their happiness. Reality itself gets filtered through the state of your soul. So, a really crucial point the text makes about damnation is that it's fundamentally self-inflicted. It's not some punishment handed down by an angry judge. The suffering comes from the soul's own choices, and the eternal torment is the agonizing realization that they are the cause of their own misery. On the flip side, the joy of the saved comes from a place of what the text calls perfect freedom. Their own will is so in sync with divine love that they only desire what is truly good. So in this way of thinking, real freedom isn't being able to choose just anything at all.
but the ability to joyfully choose the ultimate good without any internal conflict.
So after all of that, the tree, the bridge, the two destinies, what does this entire epic journey really boil down to? The text makes it incredibly clear. Everything, and I mean everything, hinges on one single fundamental choice that we make over and over throughout our lives. And this is really the heart of it all. Your ultimate fate isn't random. It's not something just imposed on you from the outside. It's the logical, direct result of your life's basic orientation. Did you spend your life feeding from the tree of death, rooted in self-love? Or did you cross the bridge of mercy, moving toward divine love? In the end, this text just lays out a map. It shows two paths and two very different destinations. It presents the choice, but it leaves that final, really provocative question just hanging in the air. For each one of us, where does the journey actually lead?